So you know me, I like PowerPoints, but today we had a flow chart. Today's a flow chart. I was in the flow, and I made a flow chart to explain the Korean system to you. Now, so I have a Korean criminal process for not dummies. No. Special people who have very high IQs, right? You all have very high IQs, and I love you. We'll talk about the high IQ thing later because I'm trying not to go to Korean jail. So this is the Korean process. It is different than the American process. And I want to explain where we're at and why it is a huge deal that we're at where we're at. Okay. So let's zoom in here. So, okay, first of all, let's start over here. Travel bans are rare. So talking to folks who have dealt with the Korean legal system, right? They're telling me that this travel ban is rare. They're telling me even in cases of sexual assault or just regular assault, and even in cases where there's been rape cases, they've let the people travel and they've just left the country, right? So this by itself, the fact that he from the jump street had a travel ban, and now, especially that he's been referred to the prosecutor, that's been extended. He cannot leave, right? This is a big deal because for most people and many other foreigners, they've seen like they charge a foreigner with something and they'll just leave, right? It means they're very serious about this, right? It's very serious about this. Okay, so let's start with number one. The first thing you got to do in Korea, if you want somebody to be guilty of a crime, you want to charge somebody with a crime, right? Is you as the victim, you need to submit a criminal complaint. Typically, the police do not submit a criminal complaint. So this is very difficult. So this is actually one part of the Korean system where most people don't sue because it can cost thousands of dollars to get together, to hire a lawyer to properly put together a criminal complaint, make sure it's formatted correctly. You're charging them with the wrong thing. I missed a T in formatted, but whatever. Make sure it's formatted. And also you got to find the defendant. So you've got to get their passport number. You got to know their date of birth, where they're at, right? You got to get a lot of information on them. So you may not be able to pin this on a foreigner. It's actually kind of hard, especially for just a traveler. It's not easy to like nail them down. This was an exceptional circumstance where they're able to get all this stuff on Johnny Somali because he made such a commotion, and they were able to go in and get that information. And the police were actually assisting with this. Normally, they don't do that. Normally, it's much harder to get through this first barrier. And this barrier is where a lot of things stop. A lot of things stop because they don't go file a criminal complaint. Mind you, this is something different than with private. This is different than America. In America, the police will just file stuff, right? In Korea, a lot of times private citizens have to file stuff, right? So there's more to this process in Korea because you've got to get involved here. But in this case, we got past one. So in this case, we have many criminal complaints that have been filed. We had one for deepfakes. We had one for obstruction of business. We have one for assault. We have one for drug use. So when this is filed, it goes to the police. So we go to step 2. So at step 2, we have the police investigation. Now, this in Korea, from my understanding, usually takes 2 to 4 months. Let me say this again. It takes 2 to 4 months, typically, for the police to do their investigation work. In this case, they did this within weeks, relatively quick. Okay? This is a huge deal. This is a massive deal. That means they've rushed it. They've actually expedited it. They've actually put this as a high priority. The police have said, no, this is a top priority because it's not taking the normal 2 to 4 months. It's quite expedited. This is extremely expedited. So the police are taking this seriously. And I know it may not, it's the different system, but this is actually in the Korean scale serious. Next, police conduct interviews of the defendant and witnesses. So Johnny's already done this. Johnny's already been interviewed, right? He's already been interviewed. So have the witnesses. A lot of people have interviewed. Next, the police receive evidence. This is a big deal. So here's the difference between Korea and America, right? So in America, and I'm sure you guys imagine this, you guys have seen CSI and the American police shows, like da-na-na-na-da, where they're going out and the police are finding evidence. Yeah, not Korea. In Korea, typically, in most cases, you as a victim are responsible for getting the evidence. I'm serious. And, for example, I talked to somebody who's got a lot of experience with trying to get CCTV footage. For example, with if let's say you catch somebody on CCTV committing a crime, let's say they punched you, and you want to get the convenience store's CCTV because your assault, your battery assault is on that CCTV footage. They can pretty much tell you to piss off. They can just say, no, I'm not giving it to you. It's not the same way as the US where the police would show up and be like, give us that footage, and they're going to turn it over. So in this case, it's a special case where they've gone out and the police have actually helped get this information. So this is a different level than what is normal, right? Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Next, the police decide whether to drop the case or refer the case to a prosecutor with a recommendation of indictment. So after it goes to the police do their investigation. They say, okay, do we want to drop it or do we want to refer it to a prosecutor? A lot of cases are dropped. Now, in Korea, if it's referred to the prosecutor, there is a plus 90% chance of them getting a conviction. So let me say this again. If the police decide not to drop the case, there's a huge conviction rate. So if it gets to the prosecutor, there's a huge conviction rate. Understand, this is where we're at with most of the charges. So with the majority of the charges, they're still under police investigation. They're at step 2. But we just got to step 3 for obstruction. So right now, we've gotten to step 3, and we're literally months ahead of schedule. We are months ahead of schedule. So we've been referred to the prosecutor's office. So this is where we're at. So if you were going to take a screenshot, you're going to step back here and look at this timeline. We're at 3. And mind you, 4 and 5 are like when, 4 is like sentencing and post-sentencing. 4 is the trial. We're right up there, right? So the prosecutors, let me explain about the prosecutors, okay? I talked to somebody who had experience dealing with Korean prosecutors. You know what they told me? They said, listen, Andrew, in Korea, police can be nice sometimes. Police can like get you a coffee sometimes. They can maybe joke with you even. They can they can be lighthearted, right? So Korean police can be lighthearted. But they said the prosecutor, they have never met a nice prosecutor. They've never met a prosecutor that's going to go easy. Okay? And the prosecutors are far, far, far tougher than the police. They almost never drop cases. They conduct tougher interviews with the defendant, and they will try to aggravate the crimes, right? They will try to aggravate the crimes. So they're going to try when in those interviews, and those are amazingly tough interviews, extremely, extremely tough interviews. This is like a deposition level. Like, I mean, they can't beat people up in these interviews anymore, like physically, but they mentally beat you up, if you know what I'm trying to say. They psychologically beat you up. And knowing Johnny Somali and how weak he is going to get wrecked in this. He is going to get destroyed in this. He's going to go in this thinking he's smart and he can lie. He's going to get screwed. Thinking you can outsmart the lawyers, not smart. So this is where we're at for obstruction. So we're already here. My guess is because this has already been expedited at the police level. And at the police level, it should have taken 2 to 4 months. This will probably go to trial as quickly as they can. Maybe a month, right? Maybe a month. This is going to go to trial quickly. So that's my impression of this. Now let's move to trial. So we're at step 3. So let's go ahead. Let's look forward to trial. So trial. Here's the best thing, baby. And for those Korean streamers, you may not know, but I'm something of a trial observer. I'm something of a trial enjoyer. And my normal problem is I can't go to trials. But, the hearings in Korea are open to the public. So are you guys getting an idea? Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking about public trial hearings that are open to the public? I'm thinking Rutro. Yeah, I'm thinking a certain mickety mindset is going to end up there. Now I cannot stream it. That's not permitted, but I can attend and I can give you a full breakdown. I can attend and give you a full breakdown. I cannot stream it live. I can stream before and after, which is what I would do. I can stream before and after. I can be streamed right from the out. I can stream from the outside of the courthouse and before and outside after, but I can't be inside. Right. But that said, definitely would attend. Format, opening arguments. And then this is different. There's hearings, and these hearings, there's like 2 to 4 of them, and they're spaced out several months apart. So unlike our trials, which occur over like a week, they're spaced out months apart. Mind you, this entire time, he is not allowed to leave, right? So Johnny specifically, unlike other foreigners, he's not allowed to leave. So he can't run away. So people saying he's going to get away, guys, Korea's already ordered him to jail. The jail is Korea. He cannot go anywhere. Remember, he can't leave. He can't bounce out. He can't do anything. Imagine this. I'm not even sure he has money. This guy may run out of money to eat, to live. And understand this, because a lot of people are asking this, and this is a very important question, because right now we're at this stage, right? But people are asking, why isn't he in a jail cell? Well, here's the thing. Because this stuff takes such a long time, because this process takes such a long time, living in Korea is your jail cell because you can't leave. How are you going to get money? He can't farm clout from any other country. And if he does anything that is a further offense, they can tack that on. See, here's the thing. That trial can be for multiple charges. And the way it works is this, and we're getting this in the sentence. They can charge you with multiple charges, and then the sentencing is stacked. They do the sentencing one after another, right? So I'm gonna get into exactly how that works because it's really crazy how this works here, because it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So this is going to last a long time. The last day is called verdict day. It's called verdict day. That's the last day. Now, verdicts and sentencing are on the same day. I know in America, there's like sometimes separate trials for sentencing. No. It's the exact same day. So as soon as we get a guilty, we get sentencing the same day. Okay. So let's get to sentencing. Okay. So that's step 5, sentencing. And on a future stream, I may talk about like what if he appeals, other stuff, guys. And we're just talking about right now obstruction of business. We're going to talk about the other charges as they move forward in the process. I'm staying on this topic. I'm not giving up this topic. This is a fucking great topic. So post sentence, while he's serving the sentence, even if he receives what's called a suspended sentence, he cannot leave Korea. So even if, let's say he gets 2 years suspended sentence, that's like probation. So while he's on probation, he cannot leave Korea. He can be ordered to pay a fine. In fact, if for his first offense, he can be forced to pay a fine. If he can't pay the fine, they force him to do labor. Yes, you get hard labor if you are forced, if you can't pay the fine. I'm not kidding. Fucking huge W, based Korea. based Korea. I love that so much. Prison or a suspended sentence. Suspended sentence like probation. So he's allowed out and he's got probation. But here's the thing. You can be convicted of multiple crimes, each one worsening in punishment. So here's what happens. Let's say he's convicted of 4 crimes. Here's how it works. Crime number 1 is he's a first offender. So what they're doing here is they're queuing up this offense, which is a minor offense. Obstruction of a business is the most minor charge. It's the most weak. It's the most weak punishment, right? So what they do is they're going to give him the weakest one first. So he's probably going to get a fine and maybe a suspended sentence, which is like probation. But here's what happens. Immediately, the same day, they can convict him of a second crime. And that second crime, because he has a first crime, he's now a convicted criminal. Even on the same day. That's how Korean law works, according to the people that have explained this to me, right? Once again, I'm relying on other people explaining this. But so he's got that second one. So each time, so next crime, he's a convicted criminal. Next one, he's been convicted of 2 things. Then he's been convicted of 3 things. Absolutely fucking wrecked. That's why a lot of people take what's called a summary proceeding, and they kind of just accept the punishment because they're afraid of it going forward. But even then, they can still keep stacking them.